Smooth. Are we recording?
I was almost a little slow there. I missed one beat.
Do we have recording on? Is that what that is? Recording.
All right. Good Saturday. What the heck's going on? Okay. I could hear everything and everyone but myself. Good morning, David.
That kick bass is kind of our cue that go live with the mic, right?
I don't know. It varies. I mean, yeah, that bass drum is the signal you got so much time before the vocals come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we never go on live vocally before the kick bass, right? Got to have the kick bass.
We may have, who knows if we've ever done it, but yeah, we shouldn't. Yeah. We probably won't. But
they don't care about any of that.
No. You know, the old radio rules when I was DJing years ago, The rule is, you know, you never get to the point where the vocals start.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because when I listen to several of the professional disc jockeys we have, well, all around the world, the one gifting they all have is to know when. Now, what happens, you get them, we used to get them on carts, like 8-track carts.
Yeah.
The song. Now they're all on disc. Mm-hmm. But they all tell you intro so many seconds. So you know, if you know it, but I used to never go by that, and I just try to always get it in my head and do it. But every now and then I talk over the intro vocals, the first few seconds of the vocals, which is a real no-no.
Yeah, but stepping on the vocals, right?
Yeah, stepping on the vocals. So anyway, that's a little DJ talk there. Hey, good morning, everyone. Saturday. And today is May, 15? 16. Are we 16 today?
We are. Sweet 16.
Yep, Sweet 16.
You know what
May
this
16?
Also is?
Please inform us.
This is the beginning of our 6th year of this show.
Today?
I believe so. Now, okay. I joined about
6 years. Are you serious?
You had done about 6 episodes before I joined in late June. Yeah,
I was I was a younger man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. You know, I will say this though. You know how Solomon in the Vanity of Vanities. Mm-hmm. I used to, you know, when you're 18, of course, you're not going 20 years ago. But I remember when I got saved, and I remember reading Songs of Solomon.
Yeah.
And not Songs of Solomon, Lamentations. Mm-hmm. And he says, you know, vanity, vanity, all is vanity. Everything's vain in your whole life. And I was thinking, what is he talking about? But, you know, as you get older and you enter into our, thanks. Should have been Lamentations. But
yeah, really.
because basically, yeah, it is Ecclesiastes. Thank you. But anyway, as you get older, you look back on your life and you look back at what you consider the consequential events in your life or in the world, and where we are today, it really means nothing.
You know what? When you're 18, it's hard to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
I'll tell you, when I was 16 and I had a date for homecoming, it was my first date. And about a week before that, I'm out hunting, grouse hunting, and I ripped out the back end of the engine transmission on a rock, you know, and don't have a car. And I'm asking my parents, can I use your car? And they said no. And my parents were going to see a counselor trying to work on their marriage, and they decided to have this one family session that next week. And I'm like, I bring it up. You know, this is 16-year-old angst. And they said, it's just one homecoming. There'll be others. Oh. But when it's your first date and you finally got over that hump to even ask a girl to a date.
Well, yeah, but see, to me, homecoming, that's more than a date.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously, when you're a kid, that can scar you for life.
Yeah.
That we were never able to. Now, this is spoken by someone who never attended a homecoming, but I know how important homecomings can be to a child, especially if you have a date.
Time. But now, I think about it as, what was that all about?
I know.
But it was my whole world at the time.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And like I said, I never went to one, and I've been married to a girl I didn't meet for another 6 years.
Exactly.
And we'll have been married. Guess how long?
Yeah, coming up on the big 50.
Exactly. 50 years, everyone.
Yeah.
My wife has put up with me for 50 big ones.
Yeah, but that goes to your point. Solomon said, all is vanity.
Yeah.
It's meaningless.
Yeah, I got to a point at some point, where... Do
you like how I got us back to your point when I went off on a rabbit trail?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I want to talk about this, but anyway, we'll let it go. But suffice it to say, Dave has another thing.
We started out talking about, the DJ stuff. You and I grew up in the area, I think was the golden years of radio and pop music and rock and stuff.
That's true.
And I used to listen to, in the cold winter nights, central Minnesota, I could pick up WLS, Chicago. Larry Lou Jack. And there were several of those other super stations. They were AM, which right now, you never listen to music.
Well, and they were 50,000 watt, and you could actually get WLS here in Tulsa.
Yeah, especially cold winter nights.
And there were two other stations like that. Mm-hmm. One was, KOMA, mm-hmm. Oklahoma City, 50,000. Yeah. We used to listen to that in El Paso, Texas, on the Mexican border. And then KFAQ. KFAQ it still is 1,000 watt AM.
It was called KVOO. It was a country western.
Oh, was that they had the calls? The call sign KVOO had
Paul Harvey got his start on that station.
Okay,
local guy.
I remember what's funny about that is I was going to El Paso, Texas, one time driving, and it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night by the time because it's, I had 5 hours to Amarillo, 5 to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and then another hour and a half. But I got up to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and I turned on my radio, and it was set on KFAQ. And I didn't know. I turned on the radio. Let's see what's on here. And I'm hearing Laura Ingraham. I said, man, Laura Ingram's down here. And what station is this? And then I noticed it was still on 1170. And then later they broke in. You're listening to KFAQ, Tulsa, Oklahoma, And I said, wow, I'm all the way in Ruidoso, New Mexico. But it's because I was so high up, nothing.
Yes.
But then again, see, the other thing is, it really didn't matter because I don't know if you know the difference in AM and FM. But AM waves go straight up and bounce off the atmosphere down.
Yes.
Where FM is directional, straight ahead.
Yeah.
That's why you have so much shorter of a range with FM has a short range, and AM you can hear forever.
If you think you're stupid is putting an FM station in the middle of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
Where you're in a valley and the only people who can hear you is in that valley.
Well, yeah.
Because it's line of sight.
Yeah. It's like what is the, where they move the talk radio now, the new station. It's newer.
1300, the Patriot?
Yeah, the Patriot.
That's the local one, yeah.
But that one is only, I think, 5,000 watts, and you can't even get it in South Tulsa. I mean, that's how bad it is now, that the range of that is so bad.
But let's go back to when we were kids and you're listening late at night, and there's a dynamic called skip where that radio wave won't bounce on a particular atmospheric ceiling. It goes beyond and it'll come down, and sometimes people will hear your station way outside of the range.
Yeah, I had people writing me saying they heard our broadcast on KFAQ in Sweden.
Yeah.
But what happens there, I think there's some atmospheric anomaly where it goes through the initial and then bounces off a higher layer. But anyway, the AM signals go up and the FM goes straight. And now we just use satellites.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different.
But those are the days, and our parents were big shortwave listeners because that was a different thing that would go around the world.
That was you, rich white people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get back.
I was born a poor black child. Okay.
But let's get back to those days, going to bed at night. You know, you're in Philadelphia, teenager and stuff. You're listening to. I want to know, who do you think were the most impacting DJs of that boomer era?
Oh, wow. There was a guy out of, there was WIBG from New York City, Wibbage. And I can't think of the guy's name for whatever reason. And then there was another one. Was it Murray the K? Was one, another one was they were all the East Coast guys, the big, impactful East Coast guys.
Yeah, it's denser, so a lot more people are influenced by him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, Murray the K, the guy at WIBG. Then there was a funny one. Oh, I can't remember. It was a white guy, but he took on the persona of a black DJ.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. He would say, what was it? They call him, what is it? Butterball or something. I don't know what but anyway, he said, I'm young and single and I love to mingle. I want to know, can I mingle with you, mama? You know, but he had white, like white on rice, cold on ice.
Oh, you still remember his lines.
Oh,
wow.
These are unforgettable lines, you know. Wow. Yeah. I'm cold as ice and white on rice. I'm young and single and love to mingle. I want to know, can I mingle with you, mama? I mean, you know, he had this whole long spiel, you know, and everybody knew, and I cannot remember what they called him, what his name was. But anyway, you had some fantastic, DJing was an art back then, you know. Now there's nothing special, but because a lot of it is because they're within guidelines and, you know, it's restrictive.
So I'm going through the Twin Cities. Yeah, I just went up to visit my mother in central Minnesota last week. That's kind of why we're out of pocket. But there's a famous station from the 60s. It was kind of before my time. I'm still elementary school at the time. But there was that time, Eddie, and I'm sure you remember better than me, when does a radio station decide that rock and roll is commercially viable? You know, because they would do, you know, the Perry Como and all that crap. And in Minnesota, that pioneer station was WDGY, or Ouija, the hippies called it.
Right, Ouija. Yeah.
And, you know, now it's a country station. You know, but it's a legend.
Well, what's interesting too, all of the stations we've named pretty much are W. And when I was younger, I wondered what the deal is. The rule was, if you're east of the Mississippi, it's W.
Yeah.
If you're west, it's K.
Yeah.
Starts with a K.
Yeah.
Why? Who knows? I have no idea. I never researched.
That's why in Minneapolis, you got both W's and K's. You know?
Do you really?
Yeah.
On which side of the river?
Yeah.
There? Oh, wow. That is interesting.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And I mean, literally, my hometown, which, I mean, I grew up a block from the Mississippi, was KLTF, which KLTF means Little Falls. But the guy who applied for the license, his home address was on the west side. So it was a K. But the station was always on the east side. So it's kind of that anomaly. Right. But go ahead.
Well, no, what I was going to say too, though, the thing that was interesting in the metropolitan areas, you segmented in the 60s. You had actually, it may have started sooner. You had your black radio stations that played all soul music.
I think the 70s were that exploded.
No.
Really?
No. Oh, yeah. No, in Philadelphia, you listen to, you know, all black stations, and they played all of the black record labels.
Well, I'm a honky from
Detroit. Well, exactly. Yeah, New York, Philadelphia. But the rest of the country had just top 40 radio. And that actually did a benefit to the black artists.
Yeah.
See, that's where all of a sudden the Supremes, well, the Motown sound, Motown started it, where their music became popular on just broad spectrum of radio stations. And that's all of a sudden how the Supremes, the Temptations, all of the Motown groups became really big. And rarely, but occasionally you might have somebody from another label, black label, make it onto one of those. But overall, it was your Motown, Marvin Gaye, it was your Motown artist that broke through top 40 radio. And then, but then later on, so now almost across America, you have your R&B stations. They call them rhythm and blues, which is basically a soul station or black radio.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in the 70s.
Yeah.
It started everywhere, started segregating.
Resolve this for me, Eddie. What today they call R&B is not at all like the original rhythm and blues.
Well,
it's more hip hop. What they call R&B.
Well, yeah, they've thrown hip hop in there, but your R&B music or your soul music is still in there. It's just a plethora of hip hop, which there's some I really like. Some of it is really well done. Some of it is just trash. Just might as well throw it in. And the lyrics are just, some of them, I mean, the stuff you'll never hear is so vulgar and so bad. I don't know how they're allowed on the airway.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. They get so shook up by if you say the word nigger or faggot or something like that on the public airways, right? Mm-hmm. But you listen to one of these it's urban now.
Yeah.
One of these black stations, I mean, it's nigga this, nigga that, and bitches and hoes. And, I mean, the stuff you hear is just ridiculous. But you go over to mainstream radio, you won't hear that because the FCC will sanction them.
Yeah.
It's black. The black community is like a spoiled child with weak parents who give special rights for them to just act poorly and badly as they want to.
Yeah, black privilege. And here's the thing. What are they doing? It's black folk putting down black folk.
Yep.
Running
and women. And they want to get up and they want to get upset. And they want to accuse someone of sexual misconduct or some weird thing, behavior. Yeah. I mean, I used to like it when you go to work in a bigger office and you saw, or even in a smaller, you have a female, I can't even see, I'm handicapped by this. I don't want to say secretary because you're supposed to call it administrative assistant.
Clerical worker.
Yeah, or clerical something, yeah. And, but that you can't say, hey, Joyce, that's a really nice dress you have on there. It's harassment. I mean, it's ridiculous, the things. And then, so then what do you have? You still have office hanky-panky, but it's just hidden stuff. Whereas when everybody can compliment whether or not and everything's in the open, it's just, it's just, it reminds me of, Dave, Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
I'm taking it all the way back to the beginning.
Here he goes.
Where Satan, the serpent, convinces Eve to bite the apple, take a bite of the apple, and then Eve goes to Adam to get him to do it. Mm-hmm. And so when God gave the commandment to Adam, you can eat of every fruit in the garden, but you can't eat of that one. Mm-hmm. So when Eve ate, and Satan asked her, well, what did God say? He said, oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So she said, if you touch the fruit.
Touch it.
And so what happened, Adam threw an extra little, have we had this discussion before?
Oh, yeah, a few times.
That
it's still good.
If you touch it, you'll die. Mm-hmm. And so I've started thinking about it. I figured it out. Yeah, it sounds like something a guy would do. You do it with kids too. And so you throw that extra little barrier in there because, if she can't touch it, she won't bite it. She won't eat it. Mm-hmm. Okay. The problem is that once you have touched something, once they break that rule, well, I might as well go ahead and eat the apple. Mm-hmm. So that's why and we get back to, I hate to pick on you, Baptists and others, that Baptists have this thing about not dancing, right? Yes. So if somebody actually ends up in a dance, and why do they tell the kids not to dance?
They're against premarital sex because it might lead to dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So, but that's it. They'll try to keep you from having sex or being tempted because you don't dance. By keeping you from dancing, they're keeping you from the sex. So what happens? The kids dance, and in their mind, well, you're already broken the rule. Might as well go a step further. I mean, this is Huff logic, okay? Accept it or don't accept it. It makes sense to me that once you break one step closer to a certain sin, then your mind says, well, I've already done this. I might as well do that.
A wise pastor, Dr. Dan Beller, the pastor at Evangelist Temple for years, he said, the liberal denominations keep wanting to detract from the word of God, such as like the sermons, did God really say, get you to question it. But us conservative and evangelical fundamentalists, if you will.
Evangelo.
Yeah, evangelical. The fundamentalists was the term for a while.
Right.
We make a mistake of adding to the word of God.
Right.
Putting our own convictions in there. In fact, I had this problem. I went to Mass with my mother for Mother's Day last Sunday, and of course now Mom takes that as an admission that I've been sinning every time I haven't gone to Mass, right? And I had to remind her the actual words, the only words spoken on this in the epistle says, don't forsake gathering together as believers. Right. It doesn't say Mass. It doesn't say church service, or as many of the evangelical gatherings have just become concerts. You go there for a Sunday show, a stage show, but the gathering together, as Paul said to the Corinthians, when you gathered, one has a word, one has a scripture, a song, a hymn, everybody share, give, build each other up. And that can happen in something organized or unorganized.
Right.
And when you get back to what does the word actually say instead of what we've turned it into with our rules and regulations. Yep. I'm sorry, I got off my soapbox.
No, I'm just, but basically that is kind of the state of mankind. I'm not going to blame it on religion or whatever. You could dig down in minuscule details, but overall, we have that tendency to try to keep somebody from doing one thing. You want to put a roadblock there, put something else, a hurdle they have to cross so they won't get to that. And so I think that's my real point. But
we stray so far, and then we see something like what I saw this morning live from London. Tommy Robinson's got a rally gathering.
Can we get to that later?
Okay.
As part of our thing.
I thought this was a perfect segue to get us out of our rabbit trails.
Were they sinning in London? No, but let's just hold off on that one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more.
Okay. Great. But because what I wanted to go to,
let's leave.
International news, basically, lead off with the president's visit to China.
Perfect time to review. Yeah.
The Democrats, of course, and the mainstream media went nuts over it. They're always trying to find something to nitpick about, and he didn't do this, he didn't do that, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, he gave away the farm, all of this kind of speculation. We don't know really, which is, I think it's extra frustrating to the news media that they're not getting the leaks they used to, because he's firing people or fired and won't hire anybody. And I guess they have the fear of Trump in them to not. Every now and then you'll still have somebody who may leak something, and it may be accident or not, but they're taken either to the woodshed or they're gone. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I thought it was a very good visit. The crazy thing was the reception he got. I'm sure you saw the video of when he got off the plane and they had this row of students with the flags. Yeah, exactly. And on the one side, it's all Chinese flags. The other side is all American flags.
But you know what? That's their culture. They do things like that.
Yeah.
And, you go to Africa and you know what you see there.
Right. But, it's really interesting, though, other than they had some good talks now. But what was funny, I don't know if you read this, that they were giving all of these gifts and trinkets and things to take home. And it's before they got on the airplane. I don't know if it was before the airplane or on the airplane, everybody threw them in the trash.
That was mandatory.
Yeah. To make sure there's no spy equipment or gear in whatever the gift was. So I thought that was, I was thinking kind of the opposite though. I would have said, I wish they could have just had scanners to just inject this stuff because to me, it's kind of insulting.
I think you turn it over to the CIA.
Yeah, and have it checked out, make sure, and then you get it back. But to me, I was just thinking, if I were Chinese, I'd be insulted. We gave our guests these gifts out of appreciation for them, And what did they do? They understand. Oh, it reminds me of the European Cup. It was either the European or World Cup. One of the two. Speaking of World Cup, it's going to be here in a little bit in all over America. But Germany took runner-up. And I think it was the last one. No, last one.
This is every 4 years, right?
Yeah, every 4 years. Either every 4 years you'll have the World Cup, and then in between you have the European Cup and the Pan American Cup, the regional cups. But anyway, so the Germans took second place. I think it was the Euro Cup. But anyway, they got these medals, and they had a trash can just on the other side. You go up on the stage, come down, and then there's a trash can. And the Germans, they're up there thanking the people, doing the French kiss, the French type of kissing when greeting, versus kiss, more of a greeting. Anyway, and then they put the medal around you. And so the Germans, as soon as they walked down and walked by, they took them off and threw them in the trash. And I just said, why even make medals? Like, I know a lot of people are happy to get a silver medal or bronze in the Olympics, but when it comes to team sport, a second place medal means nothing. You're just the head loser, right?
The top loser.
The top loser, right. And so, but it was kind of funny. But to me, hearing that the whole Trump entourage threw away all of their gifts, it was just kind of, I didn't know what to make of it.
It was a security thing.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But to me, I think you could have had either a better way or a more discreet way of dealing with this than just throwing them in the trash.
I think somebody on the plane mentioned it and the media heard it and ran with it. I think it was loose lips on that one.
Oh, just as we're talking about, he's tightening up. Some loose lips gave it away.
Well, what I did want to find out is, did they confiscate it or did they use the word throw it? Yeah, I want to try to be accurate here because I think the CIA would say, no, bring that to us.
That's what they should have done. Yeah.
Because remember, why are we demanding the Chinese relinquish ownership of TikTok? Because all the data goes back to them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was talking to a legislator.
Are you on TikTok?
No. Well, I've got an account. I don't use it.
Oh.
Now, I know they're spying on me just with your GPS, but Google's already doing that, right? My Android phone.
But they're American. It's your own people spying on you. I know. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Nobody really should be doing it.
The deep state, they're all my enemy.
It's so crazy that, when you go online and you look up one thing and all of a sudden, boom, your feed is just full of these ads by that industry, whatever it is. It's a bed. If you're looking for a bed, if you're looking for shoes, the worst one is when you're at home speaking about it And then next thing you know, you go to computer and it pops up the thing you're speaking of.
They've been listening.
And you can't figure out, well, no, I think I know where they're listening in my house, Alexa.
Mm-hmm. I know they have. Yeah. Because I just would talk to my wife about something and then someone would pop up on my Alexa screen because I've got the screen as well. Here's the thing. It is my home security and, data thing. I mean.
Or your home insecurity.
Yeah. Well, my house would be burnt down right now if it wasn't for my Ring doorbell and my Alexa device.
Oh.
Because, 4th of July, hot as heck, like 104. This is like 4 years ago. And all of a sudden, it says there's motion at your front door. A minute later, motion at your front door. So I better go see who's out my front yard. I go out there, flames are over the roof of the garage. And I wouldn't have known.
This is a firecracker. Kids with firecrackers, right?
Yeah, bottle rockets. They're having a street fight, shooting bottle explosions at each other. Yeah. And one of them, lands in some leaves behind a bush right next to my garage. And my garage attached to the house, so the whole house would have gone within a half hour.
Wow.
Thank God I was at home. Now, I put it out with my garden hose before the fire department got there. It's just, there are pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is how Big Brother got us to let them spy on it and got us to pay for the equipment.
That is kind of funny.
By giving us conveniences. Because, look, I'd have no problem shutting off my lights, but I know a woman, and I'm not naming names, but I'll come down in the morning and the whole house is lit up. She didn't turn it off before going to bed, So, I just have all kinds of automation set up.
I'm going to stay out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so essentially, I think the real purpose of the China visit on both sides was to figure out what to do with the Straits of Hormuz and Iran. And so the beautiful thing, but what we're not used to is that there are no loose lips. We don't really know whether it was a success or not a success, or what they've come up with, what they decided to do about it, how they negotiated or not.
This is the big difference between this administration and 8 years ago, right?
Yep.
But you and I talked about it on the phone, I think. I don't think it was 2 weeks ago. My thought was, I hope Trump is guaranteeing competitive prices to China. If they could get China to just say, you know what, Iran, right now you're too big a risk. We're going elsewhere. Because for Iran, their biggest customer by far is China.
Yeah.
And
Russia's number 2.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't know what goes on with Russia, because Russia's an oil producing state.
Right. But apparently their oil is dirty oil.
Yeah.
And it is not probably as plentiful as the U.S. is.
Yeah.
And America really has it now since we've acquired those oil fields in Venezuela.
Yeah. And I have to say, it isn't just gas for your car, although that's the biggest thing. It's natural gas, it's plastics, it's all the derivatives. And some oil provides certain derivatives, some provide others.
Right. And plastic, anything plastic uses it.
Look around us, So adhesives, all kinds of stuff. So I think what's, in China, by the way, does produce 30% of their own energy. And I don't know how that breaks down, but, it's like every country produces a little bit. But can they do it at market prices? You remember way back in the later 80s, Jim Inhofe was a congressman here, just got elected, and he was pushing for, he didn't call it a tariff, but it was. He said, we need to assess an oil import fee. And he said, as a national security issue, because the more dependent we are on foreign oil, well, really what he was trying to do is protectionism for the American energy sector, which was smart if you're a politician in Oklahoma. So that's kind of, it is smart when you can produce not only your own energy, but producing your own food.
Right.
We don't hear enough about that.
But what's really interesting too, though, is that China, who is currently pretty much considered our chief enemy, gave more honor and respect to the office of the leader of our country than within our own country and Europe.
Can we qualify that biggest enemy? It's not that they are the most threatening, it's that they have the most potential to do damage.
Well, right. But let's say adversary. Okay, let's not, enemy is a strong word. So let's say our chief adversary in the world. In every way, with the biggest threat China is to America really has nothing to do with bombs and rockets or whatever. It's the cyberspace and the technology.
Yeah.
The technological war between, in fact, see, the reason we have to keep going is because who wins the technological war is going to eventually rule the world.
And the innovations in the marketplace, this is where right now I've never seen the U.S. automakers more scared, because China has now surpassed us in the hybrids.
In the e-cars.
Yeah.
Hybrid e-car, yeah.
Yeah, and the electric.
In fact, Toyota, Japan as well. Did you know the new Toyotas are only in a hybrid? You can't buy a just purely gas burning Toyota anymore.
Yeah. Now, Honda and Toyota you own Toyotas. You have for a long time. They're made, the ones you buy, I think, are all made in America, aren't they? Or you rent.
I'm not so sure.
But several of them are.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have
like
big
the
brands,
Tundra truck.
Right.
I think it's made in Texas. But Honda announced their first ever loss. They have never in all their history had a loss until this quarter.
It's because of the e-cars.
They gave up on their electric vehicles that they were going to introduce. There was a number of them, a handful of models, and they just scrapped it. And all that R&D, and they never got one sale out of it. So they had their first loss.
Well, I think it's because the Democrats and your libs, I guess you want to call it, your environmentalists, had them thinking that this is the way of the future, when it's really stinking thinking. For example, and I didn't know this at the beginning, because you remember T. Boone Pickens was in favor of windmills
and CNG cars,
right? But he was really pushing the windmill. Well, the reason is that every windmill you see, one of those big windmills, they have a gas furnace at the bottom of it. Every last one. So that if the wind's not blowing and they want to turn them for energy, they're basically just generators, big, giant generators. So they use gas to turn the generator. And so
they're hybrids.
yeah, really. I didn't even think of that, but yes, they're hybrids. Your windmills are hybrids. And so you have to have gas because they can't do enough. Now, you could do well in Tulsa right now, because for the last several weeks, there's been wind every day.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much wind we're getting. It's
all across the United States right now.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It's just crazy. But anyway, that's really something else. But again, I think the big issues between U.S. and China are Iran. That's one of the big ones, probably the biggest one. And the next one, which might be just as big, but it's not spoken of, is Venezuela. Because China was doing a lot of business getting Venezuelan oil and bringing in fentanyl there and then through Mexico and then up into the U.S.
Trump is on a mission and he's following certain steps, and he put Venezuela first. And it's brilliant, because the whole domino chain is going down.
Yeah. Cuba's another. They're just isolated because they have no gas. Any gas and oil they can't get to.
This week they had their first sizable public protest on the streets of Havana. For years, you would never see that.
Right.
because of the police state.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There's a rumor out there about an indictment of our Justice Department on Raul Castro. Now, Raul is not the leader. He has no part in government now, even though he's a figurehead. He's a Castro, but I think that's significant to the people there because it's always been a Castro who's run their lives. And to the Cuban people, I think they see Raul as that figurehead vestige of Fidel's past. And maybe if he's indicted and you pull another Maduro middle of the night thing, I think the Cuban people will feel a little bit lost culturally and like, their godfather is gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Next thing you know, they'll be the 52nd state.
Yeah.
Just make them annex it, make it part of the United States of America.
Speaking of that, D.C. is really pushing for statehood, the District of Columbia. If you study U.S. history, actually study it, it was Maryland and Virginia each willing to give up a portion of their sovereign territory as commonwealths to create this district, which specifically could not be a state. The whole thing was, it will not be a state. I think the best way to answer it is to say, fine, give your territory back to the state you got it from.
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
Then you don't have an additional state,
right?
But you have people willing to take on.
Right, a portion of Virginia and a portion of Maryland, yeah.
But then that allows us to say, maybe we need to make a fourth move. Because remember, the U.S. Capitol, this is the third one. The first one was Philadelphia. Then it was New York City, right by Wall Street, the stock exchange. And then D.C. was the third one. And I'm willing to say, maybe Kentucky, maybe Paducah. I mean, I would really like to see Middle America because it's one of those ways that you can reshuffle, clean out the closets of the deep state and just reshuffle things.
Well, yeah, I think Trump is trying to do some of that by moving the FBI headquarters to Alabama. Mm-hmm. And, you start doing that, put the FBI in one place, CIA in another place. Now, you don't have to change the classification of the city or state any longer. Yeah. You just move different departments. That way they can't collude with each other and probably could, but it'll be that much harder. Yeah. But yeah, if you start taking these major, then of course you also take the centralization of all the power from that one area.
Yeah. The reason why Comey is nervous now, James Comey, who's been indicted, and of course a leftist judge gets thrown out, right. No case. What do you do as a prosecutor? This time they indicted him in North Carolina. Yeah.
Still not what we would have really liked. Really.
I know. It's a swing state. Yeah.
Kentucky, South Carolina, maybe we're getting a little closer.
But that's saying because where he put the seashells in place was on a beach in Carolina. Oh, now, and I don't think it's in the district representing Raleigh-Durham, which is a very blue area.
Right. It's like Oklahoma and Norman or Stillwater, which is all a college town.
Yeah. Take Pennsylvania. Other than Philadelphia, Euro Stomping Grounds, it's a very red state. No, Pittsburgh right. Too.
It's always the major cities.
Yeah.
Or where the universities are. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Okay. You ready to go on to the next? Oh, let's just talk a little bit about what's going on with Iran, though, because we haven't talked for a couple.
Yeah. I'm just right. I have here. Iran says economic woes are coming for the U.S. over the war of choice. These people just don't give up. It's like a barking dog. You just can't get to shut up. You keep stop. stop. In fact, there's this little video I've been seeing pop up, and I know it's a joke. I mean, it's this black, I don't know what to say, woman or girl. She's a younger woman, but she's kind of overweight. But anyway, she's talking about she's starting a dog training business. And yes, if you want your dog trained, come and this dog, it's like a Chihuahua, and the whole time it's biting, and she stop. And she's shaking it away and doing this and doing all kinds of stuff to the dog. The dog literally will not quit. And she's talking about her dog will be in school, and the whole time this dog is chewing on her, and jumping up on her, and going on her neck, and I mean, it's unbelievable. Well, that's what Iran reminds me of.
Yeah,
the barking, chewing Chihuahua. Okay, and they won't quit, and until you finally do something, and if there's got to be a way to equip the Iranian people, the rebels, with weaponry or something where they can start fighting back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is just going to bleed on and on and on and on and on. You can't, or just back out and let Israel do their thing, whatever. Yeah. But you've got to, because these guys will not stop, as we say in the hood, they will not quit talking crap. Yeah. I mean, every time you think, Trump or someone in the White House says, yes, we've gotten closer in our negotiation with it, then here they say, economic woes are coming to the U.S., death to Satan, America, stuff like stupid stuff where your whole country is pretty much decimated, becoming even more so with the oil embargo. They can't get any oil out of there, at least by sea, maybe trucks going up through, southern Russia and
I don't think Iran
China.
ever built that out.
What?
I think they're the only one fully dependent for exports on the Straits of Hormuz.
Well, if that's the case, then Straits are more screwed.
Now,
what you
do you remember back in the 70s, my brother used to get this magazine by a company called Aramco. It was a Saudi and American oil company.
Right.
And I think Shell Standard.
It's still there. It still exists, Aramco.
Right. They have had record profits this quarter because they're the ones that built the pipeline going out to the Indian Ocean, diverting away from the straits. And now the ships that aren't trapped in there are all going to us. They've been at max capacity.
Saudi Arabia has.
The Saudis, yeah. It's kind of it's hard to explain without a map, but basically it's on the south side of Saudi Arabia, where the Gulf is on the north side.
Right.
Straits of Hormuz. And by the way, to the Saudis, it's called the Arabian Gulf, not the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
So, everybody got upset with Trump for calling it Gulf of America. Like, and how many of you were complaining over the proper name of that Arabian Gulf or that Persian Gulf?
Yeah. But it's, it's the bad thing is that we're fighting this war on several fronts.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just fighting Iran. We're fighting Russia and China. We're fighting Europe. And we're fighting the media in America and the traitorous leftists in America. So we've got this multi-front fight that we have to go through, or the Trump administration has to go through, to win this war. If everybody united, if the media would just shut up and quit being the barking Chihuahua, and nibbling Chihuahua, we would end up, this thing would have been over.
But the weapons of our warfare are not bombs and missiles. They are trade and embargo and business and economics. And right. Trump knew the power of that weaponry.
Oh, no, I understand. But it's still hard when you got these guys saying around the economic woes. They're saying the economic woes are coming to America. And then our media treats it as prophetic gospel,
Of course.
But that's just stupid. I mean, I don't understand how you can be so blind and crazy to want to destroy your own country.
Yeah, but what's happening to the stock value of those media companies? It's tanking.
Oh, I know, but they don't quit.
Yeah.
It's like I said, that lady in that, I mean, if I see it again, I will forward it to you, because she takes and she tosses, I mean, kind of knocks the dog away, and it comes right back. Yeah. And then she'll knock it away. And she's trying to talk the whole time and acting like there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And that's it is the greatest example of the U.S. and the media in Iran that you can ever get. I'll find it and send it to you.
Whatever goes woke goes broke. The prophetic words of Donald Trump.
That's true.
And it's he is making them pay huge. Yeah. And eventually the stockholders are going to do something about it. I think it's CBS they have.
Yeah. See, we here the cessation of hostilities between Iran and Israel and Lebanon will be extended 45 days. And then our hostilities have been ceased with Iran. You cannot do that. Quit ceasing. It's no more. It's capitulation. You capitulate, or we will destroy you. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to be that. Well, I don't want to say Arabic or Islamic. It's probably a combination. The Islamic Arabic mind does not play. It goes back to Dave, what we were saying. Remember, I told you the story about me in Philadelphia, where you have to call fair one.
Yeah.
If you don't call fair one, there are no rules. And even with fair one, there may not be any rules. And so you cannot deal with these guys like you would somebody in Europe.
Yep.
Okay, it's not Europe. It's not even Japan or Korea. The Islamic countries, because of their mentality, it's win at all costs. Lie, steal, cheat, kill if you have to accomplish your ultimate goal of world domination.
Yeah.
And that's even Russia and China have rules. Okay. It's like everybody on earth has rules except the Islamic world. They have no rules. It's win at all costs. Never give up, never give up, never get up.
Sure.
So what do you have to do? You have to completely annihilate. And I think, all of a sudden something popped into my mind. Mm-hmm. We're talking about when God in the Old Testament told, Moses and Joshua that they had to totally annihilate all of these, I don't know if you call them countries or cities, I guess it would be cities that they came to. And it's because God was basically saying, unless you totally destroy these people and that mentality that they have, you will never be able to settle the land. Mm-hmm. And that's what they ended up having to do all the way up to David. Yep. And there was peace for many years until they start making these pacts with these different countries and all. Yeah. So anyway.
ISIS has been very active in Nigeria, the terrorist group ISIS. And Donald Trump just announced last night that the U.S. intelligence and forces have killed the ISIS leader in Nigeria in a very complex attack. Abu Bilal al-Manuki was a very meticulously planned. So, I mean, when U.S. forces can start, executing Mossad type secret, efforts to take out targets, this is a good thing,
right?
When we can do it. So,
but we were on Iran.
Yeah,
we need to finish. Let's wrap that up.
Okay,
let's wrap it up.
Here's where I tie
Let's wrap it up.
I'm doing it. Let me finish the sentence.
Okay.
What did Iran say about Hezbollah? They said Hezbollah is Iran. Okay, they have been exporting their terrorism all over the world.
Right.
And Donald Trump and our intelligence agency evidently is starting to see all the tentacles.
Right. But still, I want to focus on the country of Iran.
Good
where
point.
the brain and the head is. We have got, you destroy that, you starve, and you eventually suffocate all these little outliers. Mm-hmm. And it'll make it a lot easier. And then we can support the opposition forces in all of these countries where the other ones are what do they call them? The Houthis? Mm-hmm. The Houthis?
Yeah, down in Yemen.
Yeah, in Yemen. See, that's another one. That's another one of the biting dogs that we've got going.
Every time we're starting to make headway in global politics, or Israel is, it's the little terrorist group that come out like a little dog nipping. And it's terrorism. They can't do wide scale anything, but I don't think it's ironic that all of a sudden these mass murders are happening in the middle of Africa. I think it is, a part of, it's all coming from Tehran.
Have you ever seen the film Battle of Los Angeles?
No.
It's basically aliens attack the world.
Oh.
And you got these Marines that get caught up in it, and they're out there fighting the aliens. Mm-hmm. And bottom line is they figure out that the aliens have one control ship.
Oh.
And that if they take out the control ship, it'll take out all of them. So finally, the battle is for them to get to this control ship, and they find doing, and they've got all these ships everywhere. And then finally, all around the world, they're finding out if they hit because there's a control ship in every country, basically. Mm-hmm. And as they take them out in London and Paris and different places,
sure,
all of a sudden, as soon as they take them out, all the other ones crash, and they have these robots.
And Independence Day was exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. Independence Day was like that. So basically, what they're really saying in these films is you've got to take out the head.
Yeah.
And Iran has been and is the head of all of these. And you take them out, boom, all these others will fall.
Yeah. Man.
So it's that simple. So anyway, that's what I have.
And I don't know.
So now, anyway,
we're still wondering what's going to happen with the Straits of Hormuz, and I don't see any other way than just a massive military presence.
Yeah.
The hardest part about it is a tanker. You want to know what's boring? Watch a tanker go across the coast.
Oh, yeah.
They are the slowest thing.
They are.
And you got, what do they say, about 300 fast boats that Iran still has left? Those little like the PT boats of World War II, They can move around and zip so fast.
What you need to take those out, those little helicopters or a C-130 with those machine guns that shoot 40,000 rounds a minute.
Yeah.
And you just go, and it'll just destroy any and everything. Just blow the little boats out of the water, you know. So yeah, it's. I hate the fact that the U.S. feels the necessity of fighting with one hand behind their back.
Yeah,
we always, and it's the stinking media that's responsible for this, and those who hate America, basically.
And we condemn Israel for refusing to tie a hand behind their back. Yeah. And
Hiroshima and Nagasaki were two dark days in civilization. Mm-hmm. However, had that not occurred, what would have happened? We would have had to land on the beaches and shoot and kill maybe more people, as well as our own.
Yeah.
So, I would say that Hiroshima and Nagasaki are more like Israel annihilating cities.
Yeah.
Than anything else. So, and listen, I'm not heartless and cruel. It was a horrible time, but you're dealing with a country and a group of people who did not follow the same rules as we follow. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's that. That's all I want to say about that.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things to get caught up on. Gosh, you talk about insurrection. The Tennessee legislature had such a ruckus. There were fires being started. I mean, they were arresting people left and right. And the Speaker of the House, because their legislature is a strong Republican conservative majority, they just stripped every Democrat of all their their committee assignments and leaving the Democrats to the only place they can speak out is on the floor, because I think they said, you know what, they're going to disrupt everything. And I think what you're going to see is a very militarized Capitol where they're just going to haul them out. You know, the difficulty is you have to be careful. Remember the old adage, when fighting a dragon, be careful you don't become one. This is representative democracy.
Yeah.
And these people were elected by their constituents in their district. And their district is the only entity that has the moral authority to take them out. Unless you have very extenuating circumstances. There are rules for expulsion, but you got to be careful not to use that too much.
Right.
I mean, you want to fan a civil riot, well,
and also, when, not if, when they do end up taking the majority back, it's just the way it is, that the chances are they'll retaliate using the same methods. And that's always the danger as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you're almost, painted into a corner because no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing you're doing.
Yeah.
But, and it's not, the only way really to deal with it is from within. It's crazy how probably the most sane and trustworthy member of the House today is John Fetterman.
Yeah, the Senate chamber, of course. But
Senate. I'm sorry.
The whole Congress.
Congress, right.
Yeah.
That he is just continually, and he's not the GOP yes man. He's not a traitor. He just uses this is what he uses his head. And maybe, we talked about this before when he had surgery, the brain surgery.
Yeah.
It may have fixed him more than we thought.
I mean, we thought, he had a stroke. He was almost like we thought, is this brain dead guy? I mean, he's a zombie. He's comatose. He can't even listen. He has to read it because he can't comprehend audible sentences. And he ends up being the one guy that you think you can still talk to.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing. I think it's poetic justice, And I don't know what's going to happen with this. I tell you what, I never thought I'd say this, but I hope Stephen A. Smith runs for president.
Well, not me, but Stephen is a good sports commentator. He's a gadfly. But I don't think he would be that good as
here's what I said, because the Democrats won't let him get the nomination.
Well, you're true, probably.
But you will awaken in people that common sense that their mothers taught them and their fathers taught them. And I think you're going to start to see people revolt against that woke, radical craziness. Because you're already seeing some of it. It's just nobody wants to stick their neck out because they will take you out. I mean, you become another Bill Cosby, you'll end up in prison. Doesn't matter statute of limitations. Doesn't matter how many decades. They'll find something. They'll pay off judges. They'll pay off, anybody to go there and testify against you and, claim you did something or other. They destroyed him.
Yeah.
Where does a man go to get his honor and reputation back? So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Bobby Kennedy, I thought, could be that person in the Democrat Party 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. But that's how they operate. If Stephen A. Smith did end up coming up to the light side, it would be considered the dark side by the Democrats, and they'll go after him like with everything.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing about the Democrat Party. They, and I don't know how the black community hasn't seen it yet, that they are using the black community, totally using it.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as you stop letting them use you, boom, get rid of them. You're done.
You know, I'm at the state Republican convention. I'm talking to a table of black women that are part of our Tulsa delegation there. I said, when you heard Biden say to that young man, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black, how did it make you feel? This young woman says, that was the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. And it came from a Democrat.
So the lady you were talking, was it a Democrat or a Republican?
She's a Republican.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She was one of the people who go to Paula Price's church here, conservative black female pastor. You know, and this is the thing. Some people haven't totally lost their mind. They aren't drinking the Kool-Aid. And you can't leverage them. Now, a person that's, you know, dependent on welfare, they're scared to death about losing their welfare check. So they're just going to stay on
welfare check and their free housing.
Yeah. They're on the, every form of welfare that they get.
Right.
And they're too scared. And a lot of white liberals, leftists, the same way, too scared. Because I've seen it played. I've seen them come at my family. You know, when we were in a difficult time of rebuilding. Thank God, because believe me, welfare is a trap.
It is. It is. And in the new trap, what I always call white man's welfare is disability.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It'll just kill your drive, kill everything that should make you an American, where you succeed by the work of your hands.
Yeah.
The old Adam Smith reasoning, you know.
So let me just bring this Tennessee case into the broad picture of redistricting. What happened in Texas several years ago, and Texas has had a history of lawsuits about redistricting, and they play that game and play that game. They were never able to redistrict the way they wanted to because the courts kept stepping in. So finally, you know, Texas decides to do something, and it adjusts a couple of districts that mean they'll probably go conservative where they had gone Democrat, socialist. And as a result, you had, look what you saw in California, then you saw Virginia, and you're seeing in New York, Michigan, several, you know, strong leftist states. They're doing what New England did decades ago, is they got rid of every Republican district, even though in some of those states, Republicans might be 40, 45%, and they get no representation. But as a result of a number of things, one, Virginia being too reckless, and their own liberal Supreme Court threw it out. The U.S. Supreme Court said, no. You cannot put these mandates on the southern states unless you can show in their state there currently exists a racist behavior.
Right.
And it's just assumed that if you don't follow this deal that guarantees black districts, then you're racist. Well, nothing guarantees a white district or an Asian district or a tribal district, but somehow the blacks think they're guaranteed something. And that's had a huge effect. So now you got Alabama, Georgia's going to wait. Mississippi's going to wait, but next, in 2 years from now, it'll happen. The big concern everybody's had is whenever a president of one party comes in and he sweeps both houses of Congress in his coattails, 2 years later, there's a bounce back the other way. The opposition party usually takes control of the two legislative chambers.
Right.
And the concern is, oh my God, they are going to go crazy if the Democrats, because we've got very slim majorities in both. But what happened here, as a way that, you know, the stupidity of the left, it looks like we could pick up definitely House seats. I don't know about Senate. Senate might be a challenge still, but the House seats, I think we've got a good shot of maintaining the House, which means impeachment wouldn't happen. What it does concern me about is what the Senate might do under leftist control.
Right. The only problem again is that this is one reason why it's so important that they didn't get rid of the filibuster or the 2/3 majority rule. That now, see, the problem is if the Democrats were to take control, they could.
Oh, they will.
They do that.
They will
get rid of those rules and just it's a simple majority.
They're going to condemn it until they get to do it first.
Right. And which will show the hypocrisy.
Sure.
And then, of course, we've got another election. Of course, they'll try to Mickey Mouse and finagle the rules so that they can continue to be in it. But, hey, listen, I mean, while I have strong feelings one way, there's another part of me that says, if that's what you want, let you get what you deserve and let it come out, because it's going to wreak havoc. It's going to wreak havoc, and many of those people they won't see it until it happens.
Yeah. Now in Oklahoma, we already did it. The one district the Democrats had a little shot of was Oklahoma City area. And last census, we decided, you know what, the farm boys in the Panhandle, their district is also going to include the Hispanic rich area of southern Oklahoma City. And our friend Al Gerhardt, the blogger who was in here a few months ago, he now is in that Panhandle district and he lives in Midwest City. So it's kind of funny. There are ways to do it. Here's what I do want to say. And I want to warn everybody here. You're not creating red districts. You're creating purple districts.
Right.
And everybody's being a little bit too confident. In a sense, maybe it's good that we create more competitive districts, less, quote, safe districts, so that, the Congress can react to the political environment and respond. Yeah.
So we'll see. But above all, and I think it mainly goes back to our educational system. It started with higher learning, indoctrination into higher learning by communists and the left. And now it's bled down into the high school arena. Like you remember the Union High School, well, not just Union, but several of the Oklahoma high school kids out on the streets protesting and everything like this.
Yep.
Man, could you imagine that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, kids just leaving school, and who's behind it? It's the teachers. The teachers are leading them.
And we don't have a game plan on the right to combat that.
Right.
I know what I mean. Charlie Kirk with, Turning Point. And, man, I just pray that leadership will step up. We just need that.
I've got a story here. Joe Rogan is stunned at how many Americans think the Trump assassination attempt was staged. Now, that's one side of it. The other one is, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube videos of people going out in the streets and asking people what they thought about the assassination attempts, and how many of those people were responding, it's too bad that they missed, that they didn't kill him. You know, I mean, this is what has happened to our country. It's just it's just crazy. You can't believe this, but it is. And until the dog bites, until you actually see what this will turn out if they have their way, America will be worse than Mexico, than war is Mexico. There'll be killing, murder, and mayhem, and people locked up, the wrong people locked up, and the wrong people let free. I mean, it's just going to be crazy. So I don't know. I don't know where this is all going to lead. Hopefully, we'll have enough right mind to combat it and keep things under control. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Escape from New York. Did you ever see that with Kurt Russell? It's probably his most famous.
Been a while.
Yeah, it's his most famous. But basically, it's kind of these futuristic movie about what will eventually happen with New York. And it's funny because Mamdani is there now, and he's actually leading it more towards that type of city where it got so bad basically that they walled the whole city off. You couldn't get in or get out and just left it unto itself. And it
largely is that way. You need to go through a tunnel or bridge, mostly.
Yeah, but at least there are no gates or anything blocking you from.
Right.
There's a wall you can't get in or can't get out.
Yeah. Because to the north, Harlem, Yonkers area, that you would have walls there, and into Connecticut area. Yeah, but yeah, it's just, wow. I don't know. By the way, speaking of New York, you notice how about a year ago, what's her name? The governor, Hochul, has said, these rich folk want to go somewhere. Let them go. And now she's saying, oh, please come back. Because remember what the famous Maggie Thatcher axiom, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. They need to exploit and they need to keep shaming the rich folk, because shame is an important factor in getting what they want done. They get compliance by making people feel ashamed of success, of the color of their skin, of their heritage, all that. And, this is what's indoctrinated in the leftist school systems. And it starts in elementary school.
What happens to people that once they achieve some wealth, probably not the first generation, but somewhere down the line, they all seem to go left?
Their next generation, yeah. Because, I read Sam Walton's book. He talked about, his kids and how they grew up. And he didn't worry so much about his kids. It's his grandkids.
So he actually...
He wrote about it.
Oh, wow.
He says, I'm sad that my grandkids won't get to experience life the way I did on the front lines of mercantile and, business and opening locations and doing this. They're going to all just be super wealthy trust fund kids. And look what it's turned into. Mm-hmm. It's that loop, hard times make, strong people. Strong people make good times. Good times make weak people.
What is so silly about it, what's so crazy is they don't have the foresight to see that once they unleash what they're wanting to, that group of people that is untamed, unbridled, if you will, is going to go after them, take away all of the luxury that their grandfather and others have given them. And they'll like locust in a cornfield. They will and
provide it for the masses. Look at how much better our standard of living increased because of Sam Walton. Because he brought competitive prices. And people are going to complain that he wiped out a lot of, downtown Main Street merchants. Yeah. But you know what? This is competitiveness. Yeah. This is just the rule of the jungle, and you can't change it because it happens on a global scale.
Right.
Why is China so wealthy today? Because at the time of their poverty, they had a workforce that they were willing to mobilize, and they made deals, said, hey, put your factory here. Let us build it cheaper than you can. And what happened to manufacturing in America? It went to China. It happens. I think with Sam, let me just say what Rush Limbaugh said on this. He ran a clip of Larry King saying, I don't pay enough taxes. And Rush Limbaugh says, what he's admitting is he's overpaid.
Yeah.
He hasn't earned every dime.
that brings up something. You're right. All these people, they say, well, okay, on your next contract with whatever network you're with, let's give you a 50% cut. Are you willing to do that? I guarantee you they're not going to be willing to do that. It sounds noble. You see, it's all about image and impressions that, oh, I make too much money. Okay, then let's take 3/4 of the money that you have. What do you think is a fair? I don't even think they could answer the question. What do you think you really should be getting?
Well, what they won't allow is for their egos to get bruised by that cut, because their ego is attached to that contract dollar amount.
Yeah, ego, schmigo. I mean, in the end, it's bottom line is money.
Yeah, I'm just saying for them, when you got someone like a Larry King saying, yeah, I don't pay enough taxes. He's like, I really should give some of this back, or, wealth transfer to somebody else. And I think that's a lot of it with your trust fund babies, is they're guilt ridden because they didn't earn any of it.
I hear that guilt ridden thing, but I'm not buying it. I think they're happy that they have it. And I was just thinking about the Christian song, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Yeah.
I think they're happy and they know it and they don't want to see it change. That's how I see it. But what they want to do, they want to talk big stuff. They want to support this and that makes them look like they're actually doing something when really, in essence, they're not really doing anything.
Do you remember
substantial?
When Bill Clinton referred to increased taxes as contributing more, as though it's a free gift. Right. They're making it sound like you're being generous. No, you're holding a gun to my head and said, you're going to jail unless you hand over some loot.
Right.
Because if you don't hand it over, we're coming to confiscate it and locking you up.
If you wanted to bring out the generosity, you just leave it to the individuals to give whatever they want to give.
As Will Rogers said, I remember a time when a liberal was generous with his own money.
Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
So
anyway, again, back to this Joe Rogan. We talked about Joe Rogan. He's stunned on how many Americans think.
There's more to that. What else?
Well, it says he's amazed at how many people think that the assassination attempts were staged. Mm-hmm. But see, there's the other side that, as I mentioned before, that are unhappy that they weren't successful. Mm-hmm. So if you've got him upset at how many Americans think that it was staged, then you add to that the people that think that they should have gotten him.
Well, they don't want...
Some of them are the same people, of course.
Right, but what's happened? What happened as a result? What happened to Trump's popularity after that Butler thing, right? And that's what they can't allow. Right. So what they will do then is they will plant the idea of it's fake, it's phony, it didn't really happen.
Right.
And so what they just cannot allow that to happen. So I'm going to go back to Limbaugh said in the 90s, Clarence Thomas, after that weekend was done and Alan Spector just destroyed the credibility of Anita Hill, a majority of Americans felt like Clarence Thomas had been framed. Overwhelmingly, this was a scam. It's ridiculous. But then 6 months later, it flipped because the liberal media could not allow people to see Clarence Thomas as a good man who had been framed. And they just kept the drumbeat, and they turned Anita Hill into a folk hero.
Yeah.
So this is the problem you have with that. It's the media narrative. And sadly, much of America is under occupied territory where they have to try really hard to get their news from a legitimate source. I mean, I'm at home with my mother and she's got Dish TV, right? Dish Network. And they've got, I could not find Newsmax. I couldn't find Real America's Voice. But CNN, ABC, all those things were just very prominently put in there. And I had to go through and make sure that, it was on her favorites to get a legitimate news source or two.
Did you ever find Newsmax?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I was good because I know it's on there.
I know it's like up in the high numbers, and you got to scroll through all the jewelry channels and the home shopping channels.
Oh yeah, but all of the news networks are together. They're all bunched together.
But at the very end,
well, there's a long way to go. There's still a long way to go. If they're in the 300s, but you got the.
I'm saying at the very end of that cluster you refer to, because they do try to do it. But yeah, it's. I remember Fox News used to have that challenge. And then all of a sudden they were beating everybody in the ratings. And, I don't know. It's just, but they went corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, hats off to my great niece, Ellie Meyer. And it's my oldest brother's granddaughter is now joining Newsmax. She's doing an internship. She was graduated president of her class at Northwestern Baptist College in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I was talking to her on Mother's Day. She got to introduce Franklin Graham, whose father, Billy Graham, for a short time was president of that Bible college. And Greta Van Susteren got a hold of her resume. And, of course, Greta and her husband are very good friends of Franklin and his wife, travel with him everywhere. And so she's going to be working the DC bureau, working on Greta's show at Henry's. And so anyway, I just wanted to put out that little.
It's interesting. You mentioned Greta. Of all of the newscasters that I can have come to mind, she is truly the most unbiased.
Down the middle.
Yep. And sometimes you don't like this position, but you'll turn around and you'll love her, Mm-hmm. But she truly is what a journalist is supposed to be, just unbiased, like you said.
With one exception. She still falls into that pit of the cute co-ed victim and making more of a story in a drumbeat because she's hot. I mean, not Greta, but the gal who's the victim, and stuff. It's the Nancy Grace thing.
Yeah, but is it really the hotness or just the female thing that she still thinks that women should be protected?
Well, that's true, because Savannah Guthrie may be hot, but her mother isn't, right? But they're following all that. And no, it's just that's kind of the sensationalism factor that plays in, because there's been a number of those cute co-eds gone missing, and it just captures the news. Or, because, I mean, it's not 50-year-old women. It's pretty women that are under 40 kind of thing. You saw that with the Peterson gal whose husband killed her and took out her body, dumped it out on a boat, and then you've got the co-ed that worked for the congressman that went missing. We find out it wasn't the congressman, but boy, if you've been watching the show, it was the congressman. And, yes, he had an affair with her. He's scumbag, but he's not a murderer.
Right.
They did find the murderer and prosecute him. But you see that over and over again. Of course, there's the Holloway story of going down to the Caribbean and, somebody down there kills her or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just... That's my only thing. Other than that, with Greta, yes, you're getting just top notch. And here's the thing. She came from CNN. She came from, all those other networks and stuff. And she's free to be herself without getting pushback. I mean, what's the guy's name? The one conservative that CNN has a commentator. I know. Jennings.
Yeah. Scott Jennings.
Yeah.
No, not Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings was the guy on that Wheel of Fortune. I can't. But anyway, I know what you're talking about.
And the crap he gets.
Oh, yeah. But he is the most perfect person I've ever seen for it.
Amazing.
He just deals with it and just doesn't let him get him. And, they actually need him there.
Oh, yeah.
They love him. The network does, because it brings eyes to the thing, to the channel and to the show.
Every set needs a piñata.
Yep. And the black hostess of it, she kind of mean, I give her to her that she plays it in the middle. Sometimes she'll kind of give him the reins to go ahead, but then sometimes she'll come in, counter him as well. So it's a well done deal. And but what it shows to me is the craziness of the left. There's some crazy people.
They're the most intolerant.
Oh, you know who really gets me on CNN and well, he's more on MSNBC. I can't even remember his name right now, but I call him Q-Tip. But it's this black guy. He's kind of heavy set, but he's got pure white hair. And it's an afro, but it's an afro that goes, and that's why I call him Q-Tip.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, he looks like a Q-Tip, a human Q-Tip, but he is one nasty, ignorant person.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to have a one-on-one with him. He would just bring it all out in me.
I mean, they've been believing their own garbage for so long, they've lost credibility.
Oh, yeah, but they won't quit. It's at the point where they don't realize that this is over. People, you've got this dwindling group of people that want to follow you because you're saying what they want to hear, but it's not making the impact it once did anymore. So maybe it's time to change.
Yeah. So MS Now, which former MSNBC, which if I'm Microsoft, I'm like, yeah, that was a bad, investment, because Microsoft invested in NBC to create this thing. It was supposed to be about tech news and stuff like that. And
I know, isn't that weird how it changed?
Yeah. They finally spun it off as a separate corporation about a year ago.
I'd have made them take the MS off of it.
I would. Yeah. But then again, you don't have copyright to MS.
But what does MS stand for?
Originally, in their intention, it was Microsoft.
Right. What is it now?
So you can call it whatever you want.
That's it. It's in everybody's mind. It's still Microsoft.
Yeah.
Now, Microsoft now.
What's your middle name? Oh, you don't want to talk about it. You're Eddie Huff. Okay, EH. Does EH always mean Eddie Huff to somebody else? I'm thinking.
No, I know. Yeah. To me, it stands for more blank.
Yeah.
Now, I'll soften that. More crap now. Yeah. That's right. hey, Ilhan Omar, boy, she's all over this. She's a piece of work too. They're breaking the silence on the fraud probe. And they're blaming Waltz now. It's just stab him in the back. He's the guy who set it up for him and is aided and abetted.
Is this the Minnesota legislature? Who is?
Ilhan Omar.
Oh, no, she's turned on.
She's turned on Waltz.
Oh.
Yeah, she blames Waltz and Trump as new claims clash with her earlier statements. So now she's changing her story.
Oh,
so now she's not just going after Trump, she's going after Waltz too, which is, it just shows, they need it. Not only, don't just kick her out of the house, they need to deport her, but send a real message.
Well, there's clearly money laundering, and she had to dump those front companies like the winery she supposedly owned, because she claimed her wealth to be 18 million. Now she's got 100,000. Who knows who ended up.
Well, they were saying total was like 36 million in all the different things.
Yeah, but if she wants to stay out of prison, she basically has to say, no, I don't own anything.
Well, but if they can prove that she has a 32 million and she doesn't own those businesses, then where did it come from?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, somewhere, you can't play that game. You can't play that game. Well, you shouldn't be able to play that game. Let's put it that way. It's just, it's crazy stuff. Crazy.
I think Walls may have, in one of his depositions or something, threw her under the bus, and she found out. We only know very little. That little portion of the iceberg sticking out of the water is all we see.
Oh yeah, but see, I'm afraid this is where I get so upset with our legislature, national, Congress and House, that or the Republican side of it, let's put it that way. They don't have the guts and stick-to-itiveness of the Democrats. They just keep letting them, probably because we have a lot of turncoats and traitors and closeted Democrats in the Republican side of the House and Senate. But I mean, this stuff is nonsense. This should not be going on. I mean, as soon as they find out it's fraud, boom, you're not only gone, you're deported.
Yeah.
Boom. All of this, the bald-headed one, and then Big Mouth, the other Big Mouth one that's running around all the time with her. They all need to be dealt with because they are destroying our country. And what would happen as soon as we shut those mouths and get them out of there, it will send a signal to others. This is not how you behave in the United States of America.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So
we got to get this in. Today, we are 1 month away from the primaries in Oklahoma.
Oh, I was just going to, I'm glad you said that's where I was headed next.
Yeah.
I went to a debate earlier in the week. And now, I don't know if I told you that we talked about it, but now my Facebook's afire.
Oh, yes.
Because I dared.
Doesn't surprise me. If you know Eddie, he loves to give it too.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. It's the race for the Republican primary. Okay. You got Stephen Kunzweiler.
Yes, the Tulsa DA's race.
The DA's race, right. And you got him going against
Trust Fund Baby.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Bama Jr. Little Miss Bama.
Yeah. I can't even think of her name right.
Colleen McCarty.
McCarty. Yeah. Is it McCarty or McCarthy?
I think it's McCarty.
McCarty. That's what I thought. But anyway, so they had a debate. Now, if you'll remember when Steve was here a couple of weeks ago, he pointed out that she's never done a jury trial.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And so in the debate the other day, we had a debate over here at Pastor Lemeyer's church.
Yeah, Sheridan Church, which is actually on 41st Street, closer to
which
Memorial.
I kind of had an issue with that. How do you have a debate at your own church? That's kind of a little.
But he wasn't a participant.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. He spoke and. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah.
You get that Reagan.
He didn't have anybody. He didn't have.
Remember the famous Reagan? I'm paying for this microphone.
Yeah. But anyway, in this debate, it was brought out. But anyway, so now, okay, this is getting crazy. So on Facebook yesterday, it came out that a lawsuit has been filed with the DA's office here in the state, basically, that this trial, there was a murder trial. This has been 2023, and I can't. Oh man, we got so many things. I wish I could remember the name. Anyway, but do you remember McDougal, former state rep?
Yeah, Kevin
sure. McDougal, and who's the other gentleman? Kind of a cowboy, older guy that was running for governor. J.J. Humphrey. Yeah, J.J.
Oh yeah,
J.J. Humphrey. It's J.J. Humphrey and Kevin McDougal have now filed suit against the Tulsa County DA for withholding evidence in this murder trial.
Okay.
The guy actually was convicted in Oklahoma County. This is an Oklahoma City case. And the guy was convicted, went on appeal, convicted, appeal, I think 3 times. So something happened.
This is the Glossop case, right?
Yeah, the Glossop case,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, through some glitch or something, when the Prater was going out of office or stepping out, he couldn't do it. So they called in the Tulsa County Kunzweiler basically to handle this appeal case on appeal. And Steve and them handle it. Well, now what they're trying to insinuate is that the Tulsa County DA was withholding evidence even though they weren't even involved in the original trial.
Right, because you cannot present new evidence in an appeal. You're putting the trial on trial.
Right. And so they've been given all of the info or all of the data that they were allowed to give. Mm-hmm. But McDougal and Humphrey are making this case. Well, anyway, the case was just recently brought up. Mm-hmm. And of course, it won't be adjudicated until way after the primary.
Yeah, and I have to say, I believe it was Bob Macy was the DA over in Oklahoma County at the time. Now, he's a corrupt DA, okay? I'm just saying he is. He was the one that did the sweetheart deal to keep David Walters from being thrown out of office for committing a felony. He plea bargained that down to a misdemeanor, and then they closed up the courthouse and then brought him in for a secret court hearing, which is a violation. And one photographer for the Oklahoman cracked the door open, was in there and took the picture. That's the only way we know it happened. That's Bob Macy. Bob Macy was the one who actually, the story I heard is they allowed somebody to testify even though they knew his testimony was a lie. And it harmed Glossop.
Right. That is true.
Yeah.
But that had nothing to do with Steve Kunzweiler.
Okay. But Kunzweiler is only trying to show that the original trial was legit.
Well, right. He's just taking it up and going through the process.
Yeah.
On the assumption that there was enough other evidence, because the guy's been found guilty already 3 times under appeal.
Oh, it's been denied appeal. They ruled against him.
They ruled against him already.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's burying or hiding any new evidence or old evidence or whatever. He's basically just saying, here's the evidence. But here's what I'm getting at. The whole deal is just political. Mm-hmm. It's just the situation of this thing is coming up and they're bringing it up now. And of course, Colleen is using it to say, oh, he's a corrupt DA. He's not, fit or whatever, to make him look like that, when he really doesn't have anything to do with the guts of the actual case. And that stuff just drives me nuts. And you've got a person who is trying to become the district attorney for a Tulsa County who has never actually run a case, has never adjudicated or pled a case pro or con, never been to court.
Yeah.
So how do you, I mean, it's insane. It's like, I was using an example, like, going from flight attendant to wanting to be the pilot, the head pilot of a 747, or a ground crew member that decides they want to now be the pilot. And everybody say, we want this person to be the pilot. All their friends and a bunch of it is, I think, people that love and respect her mother.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They love and respect her mother, but we're not about the nepotism or taking care of people.
She's a trust fund baby, riddled with guilt.
She hasn't earned the right or spot to be the lead prosecutor. It just drives me nuts where we are, that people's minds, in their mind, because her mother's good, or she may be a nice person, or she has a good personality. That's not what this is about. Mm-hmm. This is about being fit for the job. You don't just go from 0 to 100 with nothing in between.
Yeah.
So anyway,
can we go back to just what Kunzweiler, he got that dumped on him because Drummond didn't want the political hit.
Right.
Because Drummond would have done the same thing as Kunzweiler. Says, here's what the state did, and just, defending the state's prosecution.
Right.
This happened so long ago. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, basically, Bob Macy just decided to cut a deal to one guy if he would say the other guy is guilty. And, a jury has to believe a liar who they're letting off the hook, at least in part, if, he will help them get another conviction. Because, Kunzweiler will tell you this, is the whole game is about how many notches in the belt, how many convictions can I get? And it's sad because a lot of them turn into bullies and they'll go after poor defendants because they can't lawyer up.
Right.
If you're an O.J. Simpson, oh my God, it's just going to kill the entire budget and staff because he's got a dream team defense team, So this is the problem with the system. Because, see, I believe Glossop should not be put to death.
Well, apparently he's not going to be, but it's a matter now of life.
Close.
Yeah, right.
And what Kevin McDougal did, as best I could tell, when he was a legislator, is a national think tank agreed to pay for a whole study of how the case is done. And they put such a compelling report together that the Pardon and Parole Board said, yeah, we think he needs a new trial, or some state entity. And they stayed the execution and all that. And it was an uphill battle.
And had a new trial.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle for to get that. And McDougal deserves credit for this. And J.J. Humphrey, who's really, he used to work for the prison system, and he's one of the finest men. Gosh, we need to get J.J. in here. We will be rolling in laughter. He's probably the best stand-up comic who's not doing the comedy tour. He's just funny.
The problem is that what you want in office? Because
no, I know.
He's a good comedian. I mean,
I know. It's funny, but he does have some expertise in some issues. As a legislator, he did.
No, I listened to him at the Republican Men's Club, and he's an excellent speaker.
Yeah.
Got a lot of catchy phrases.
Did he tell you about the cockfighting push?
Yeah. He did talk about
the T-shirts. He printed 50 T-shirts, gave them away at the Capitol. It says, "My cock, my choice." Yeah.
So, but anyway, it just smacks of politics. Okay,
it does.
The timing, the everything, and bringing Kunzweiler into something that he really didn't have anything to do. It was forced upon him.
How does Kunzweiler say, "No, I'm not going to"?
Right.
He's a state elected servant.
Right.
He's got a job to do.
Right.
What I really have a problem with that is Drummond ducking and running.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
But you don't see them. If not, come on in. We'll talk.
Well, and you don't see them attacking Drummond.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
it's all about Kunzweiler.
Yeah, Drummond has been trash. I mean, Kevin Stitt had some scandal happen here for what he did do with the Polston case, drunk driving. Rod Polston, pretty famous tax attorney. His wife, drunken, plows through a intersection 66 miles in a 25 zone. And
is that all?
And hits somebody.
Yeah.
And I think just broke their spine. Horrible stuff. She gets sentenced to total of like 15 years. Some of it suspended.
I can't remember. Was she
8 years.
DUI or did they?
Yeah. Well, vehicular battery,
right.
A whole bunch of things. But her 8 years, they're trying to get down to like 80 days.
That's pretty.
I don't think if my son had done that, he'd get 80 days.
If they were smart, they would have probably just let her go to that country club prison over in western Oklahoma there.
Well, that's a federal prison, though.
Oh,
yeah, El Reno.
See,
that's again, that's the problem between state and federal. It's not equal justice. So the tribes get to go to El Reno. But us folk, we get Big Mac.
McAllister, McAllister.
But anyway,
getting back to the original thing.
But what Stitt did there, and he does have some problems with, is he's literally saying, implying, I could just pardon her.
Right. But I don't want, you're off on another rabbit again. Okay. Let's stick with what we're doing local and relevant here right now. And that is, so they're trying to use this against the district attorney when the real issue is, and some of the thing, like somebody else posted that he has lazy attorneys working out of his office. So I don't know, that may be, but does that mean that Colleen, who's never done a trial, period, of her own,
oh, she's calling other attorneys lazy.
No.
She's the expert.
No. She hadn't. I'm saying other people. Someone else posted on Facebook that the attorneys in his office are lazy. And so if you put somebody who's never run the office, never actually done a trial, whatever, you think that's going to fix the lazy attorneys in the office? No, because what does she want to do?
No, she'll get DEI hires. That's what.
Well, now, let me confirm this, because am I not mistaken that she either was a Democrat or voted for Democrats?
I don't
in the last. Okay, I'll have to research that a little more.
I will tell you this.
I don't want to say anything that I don't know for sure is a fact. One thing I do know for a fact is she's not up for the job. And just because her mother is a gazillionaire, and maybe one of the negative things is most of Bama's operation now is run in China. So
I do want to say this. You know how it is in the corporate culture. Who is ever the bottom of the totem pole, the low man in the whole thing operation, they usually see the ugliest side of everybody else because they get picked on, they get abused, exploited. My daughter was that bottom rung. She answered the phone. She was a receptionist and stuff. She had to, forward messages to people. I've never heard my daughter say a bad thing about any of them. And she has great respect for a number of them in particular. But she always felt like they were a hardworking, well-organized bunch. Steve has one person who's his administrative person. Yeah, somebody who's just, Steve delegates, and he should.
And the thing too is Steve has and still does trials. He still adjudicates trials. He goes in and defends the city, county against perpetrators and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
I think he owes that to the people who entrust him to a job. They elected him because they want him, not something passed off for political reasons, And he's taken some cases that you knew he was going to get hit from one side or the other, maybe both.
Yeah, and to be fair, to let people know that my nose and head is not all up his butt. I was one of the most vociferous voices against his trial against
Betty Shelby.
I
agree. I'm right there with you.
But you remember that when I was as saying, I don't think they went after her hard enough. Now, in retrospect, later, I understand what actually occurred there. So I'm willing to cut some slack there.
You still, when you was in last time, you mentioned about you overcharged and underprosecuted.
Exactly on that.
And he did not argue back.
He's never argued
back.
Well, and the main reason to right or wrong, I understand, because we had a city in turmoil. You had North Tulsa, which was, they had Al Sharpton come in and they were going on nuts about that. And, the typical, the white man's not going to do justice, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so, to appease them to their own detriment, it's something they brought on themselves. Yeah, no. He charged first-degree murder.
Right.
When you and I, and most people with a rational sense, knew they were not going to convict this woman of first-degree murder.
Right. Yeah.
So when they throw that out, if they had just lightened up, let them do it, and get her on manslaughter.
Well, Pat Campbell, I think, had the right take. She got spooked when the taser went off 6 inches from her ear.
Right.
You know, and I presented that to Steve. He acted like he'd never heard it.
I don't want to re-adjudicate. I'm just saying what
there's
what in the process. I'm discussing process right now. That you had a case where I believe he did what he thought was best for everyone in the end. And because, I mean, honestly, what are you going to do if you could have put Betty Shelby in jail, but it was not premeditated first-degree murder. She was put in a bad position and she freaked out. It should have been manslaughter. But what happened, the North Tulsa community brought it upon themselves because they demanded, we want the maximum thrown at this person. Right. And you could not get a jury to do that. But so
that's not the only one. I mean, the Bird case, the apartment complex security guy shoots and kills a guy. You know, I mean, that I think you and I were both even more worked up about.
Now that one, that's true. That's true.
So, you know, Kunzweiler, we consider a friend. Right. But we're holding him accountable.
Right. But see, I don't think he actually did Bird. That's probably one of his.
They didn't prosecute.
Oh, that's right.
That was the problem.
That's right.
They let the guy go back to Texas.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
And so, you know, there's been things in Eddie, to be fair, it's not just Kunzweiler. You know, the Muskogee cop shooting a guy in the back. You know, there's all kinds of, there is a narrative. It's not without merit to say, hey, there's some people that are not respected, whether it's their age, color of skin, or whatever. You know,
sex.
Yeah, we've got some things that we got to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Lewis, the rabble rouser guy that North Tulsa about that same time.
Oh yeah,
so Mark and I had a pretty good dialogue on mental health. I helped, the sheriff's department, make this big pitch about, hey, we're improving the jail. The Elliott Williams case, we learned from that. We're going to have better mental health, assets. And his attorney, Lori Phillips, said, like, they only built one for the men. They didn't build anything for the women. And Mark, said, so I called Mark the next day. I said, look, Mark, there is a discrimination case, but you missed it. It's not that they said that the women population now, by getting these men out of the infirmary, it can handle the women because the women with mental health crisis are about 10% of the men. I said, Marcus, here's the problem. They're arresting men 10 times the rate of women for being mentally ill. That means they're afraid of men who are psychotic, but somehow not afraid of women who are psychotic.
Thank you, David, for another diversion.
Yeah, it was.
You're the rabbit chaser today.
I know.
I'm usually the perpetrator of that, but
I know.
I'm going to stick on it because this is very relevant here today. So anyway,
the thing is, these people that just go off on their racism, something, they're blind to the real problems.
Okay, thank you. But again, back to the issue is what we're basically saying, that in our opinion, the DA is not perfect.
Yep.
We don't agree with him on everything. Yep. However, to take someone who has supposedly, I don't know for a fact, but I take it as fact, been a lawyer for 6 years, but has never been in a courtroom as the actual plaintiff's or defense attorney, to want to take the chief job. I mean, to me, it's ludicrous. And what's more ludicrous is all the people that think that she deserves to have that job. Now, if it were one of the attorneys or the guy he ran against 2 years ago, right? 4 years ago, it was
Ben Fu.
Yeah.
No, well, Ben was for the primary. Then he'd tick on a.
Well, that's what we're talking about now. It's
right?
the same
Yeah,
thing.
because there was.
But at least Ben had some experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben worked in his office.
Worked in his office,
Yeah.
right? This young lady was an intern in the office. That's the basis of her expertise.
Is she a TU law school grad?
I have no idea. I don't know. I can imagine.
Because I'm wondering, Bama has had, TU's been wanting to buy out that Bama property up there in Delaware in 11 forever. I'm just wondering if there wasn't a sweetheart deal to get her in law school.
Oh, boy, I don't want to go all there. I don't even want to touch that.
I'm not saying.
No, I know, but I'm just sticking on the issue at hand right now, and that's this election coming up.
Yeah.
But you can't believe the people that I know and respect and care for and everything that think she should be the district attorney just because she's a nice person or mother's a nice person or whatever. And I'm saying that's not the qualifications for being the chief prosecutor in the county. That's just not part of the job description, being a nice person or whatever. There's so much more. There's so many more people worthy and qualified to take that role than this person. That's all it is. I don't have anything personal against her or mother or anybody or anything.
I do want to handicap all these statewide races, which are just a month away. But I want to say this on your topic. Oh,
that's all right. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah,
take it as you will, and then if you now we can move on to broadening it. This particular race, or you? Yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Here's what it shows, and you and I've seen it those last few cycles in state politics. Is if you're independent wealthy, you probably have about 50 times better chance of getting elected to office. Family wealth is buying offices in Oklahoma. We're seeing it now. Mick Cornett was the front runner. He won the primary 8 years ago for governor. Have you seen him around lately? Is he still involved? Is he a civic leader? No, but a self-made man in the, mortgage business, Kevin Stitt, was able to play with the big boys. He became the governor. Over at Gettner Drummond, far wealthier. These people who can self-fund. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad. I'm just saying just be aware of it, because wisdom is not, an exclusive property of the super wealthy.
Right. And it's a shame today that the office or running for any office has become so expensive, as we found out 2 years ago when I ran. I still can't believe how much it cost me just run for city council.
Yeah.
And or my campaign costs. Let me not say that, because I didn't have the funds to dig deep on my own.
No.
But it's a shame, like you said, that people are now at the point, because it's such a great cost. We can go into the gubernatorial race, okay? Gubernatorial race. You've got people running for governor that have money, and you have people that don't have money or don't have nearly as much. And some of them, if they have good support, if they can get people to believe in them, they can raise the money to compete. Great example is Mike Mazie versus Gettner Drummond. Mike has some funds, or you couldn't even get into the governor's race seriously if you don't have some money. Let's just put it that way. Everybody you see on TV that has a commercial and ad, they've got some money somewhere from somewhere. Now, a couple of them have gone out and earned it, or have great supporters because those people believe in them and have a preponderance of supporters to fund it. But without that money, you just can't compete.
Right.
It's a sad situation in a way.
Yeah. Gettner is like multi-generational money. I'm not saying he's a bad businessman or a bad attorney. I'm saying, what bankrolled that was family money. I mean, when you own a major portion of Osage County land, that's a massive ranch, and the oil, I mean, but Mike Maisie, I don't think you can make the case his dad made him, a trust fund baby.
No, definitely.
Mike did earn it. Mike is an incredibly smart man.
He has a brother that's an engineer.
Yeah. Now,
a good engineer.
Chip Keating. Now, Frank Keating wasn't that wealthy until after he left being governor. He was head of a lobbying group in D.C., the Bankers Association. And estimates are well north of $10 million he made. I mean, Mike Hunter worked for Frank Keating's lobbying company and made millions. These people, lobbying is how you get rich quick.
We missed our calling.
Yeah. And the funny thing, they all go into it, and so I just think Chip Keating, comes from wealth. You wouldn't have said that 20 years ago, but now, yes. And notoriety, of course, Frank Keating, being a prominent, Republican governor.
What about, the other main contender, the former speaker? McCall.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got tons of money.
Massive.
Yeah. He owns 4 banks.
Yeah.
Even one in Texas. But my question is it something that he built himself?
I believe so.
Well, see, then I respect that.
Yes.
I'll be real honest. I'm not supporting him, but I was very impressed by him.
He one-on-one, he's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really respect this guy a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not supporting him. I'm voting for somebody. But I've got to give it to him at least. And if you're telling me that he built that on his own, just like now, I have to say this about the governor, okay? I used to go to church with him. Our governor.
Okay, Kevin Stitt. Yeah.
And, and he used to work, what happened, he worked for a mortgage company. And he realized, well, man, I think I can do this on my own. And so it was a laptop, just him and a laptop working at home. He left the company he was with, and he literally built his own company that ended up being in several states.
Yeah.
And see, there's people who just have that knack for knowing. They get an idea, they act on it, figure out how to do it, and are very successful at it. He's one of those guys. So I don't have an issue with people that make money on their own. Okay. But when it's generational or family money or whatever, it's not an automatic qualifier, okay, or disqualifier. But I really need to see something else. I need to see more.
Well, Bobby Kennedy be that trust fund baby who definitely is a great leader.
But yeah, but it's funny with him. I always forget that he's a Kennedy. I always forget that he comes from that because he's so different. In fact, he's the black sheep of the family that all the others, even on John F. Kennedy's side, they've all Caroline and
I think John had more character, John Jr., than his sister, has demonstrated. Patrick Kennedy.
Well, John Jr. has been against Bobby too. He's come out against him.
JFK Jr. is dead. Died in a plane crash.
Oh, you're talking about JFK Jr. I'm talking about, okay, I'm sorry. I thought Caroline's son.
He started a magazine publishing.
Yeah. Oh no, I liked him, and he and Trump were really good friends. They were very good friends.
Yes, and so there are people who are born into privilege and wealth who actually excel at something. I have to say, Patrick Kennedy, his political career was in the ashes. He got help for his mental health, his addiction, and he's doing fantastic things. Now he was again with the family trashing Bobby, but then he said, Bobby, if I can help, I will help. And I don't know how much Bobby has trusted him and reached out, but that's the beginning of character. with Patrick. So anyway, Patrick, by the way, is very good friends with John Sullivan, our former congressman.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were drinking buddies at the Capitol.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
But with the night Kevin Stitt got elected, Sullivan was there, and I just said, hey, how's it going? You left Betty Ford Clinic and that. And he said, great. But
I don't know. Go ahead.
I said, what's happening with Patrick? He was your friend. And he says, oh, what he's doing with NAMI is great, helping families, helping other people to, learn from his mistakes. So,
yeah. Something you said just triggered my mind on Thursday. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. We had a big event at the Tulsa Air and Space Museum.
Yes.
And our former congressman and head of NASA, Tulsa resident Jim Bridenstine, had a big gathering at the Tulsa Air and Space Museum announcing a new company.
Yep. And
it's a satellite company. And they're bringing their manufacturing to Tulsa. And what's interesting, the owner of it sought him out and basically got him to leave his own company. Jim had his own company.
He was pitching it last time he was here.
That's right. Anyway, and they convinced him to leave, and he's left it in good hands. But it was quite an event because the owner. And I didn't realize I don't know if he's Armenian or.
You mentioned he was Armenian.
I think he's Armenian. The name sounds Armenian anyway. Yeah. But anyway, he's a gazillionaire. And he's got several companies.
Nice.
But anyway, he's convinced them to bring the company here to Tulsa. And so there was a big event at the Air and Space Museum. And it's so funny. You had all these people show up that started kind of taking credit and using it as a thing, and they really had nothing to do with it, which is kind of funny. One of those people really was the mayor, and then what's the head of the Tulsa Chamber?
Oh gosh, you talking about Neil?
Yeah, him, and then there was one other one. But anyway, there were several. Or even the Kaiser people.
Oh, yeah.
The Kaiser people didn't want to have anything to do with it until they found out that who this guy was, and he's coming to town. Then all of a sudden, oh, hey.
They genuflect for real money.
I mean, it's just crazy what goes on politically and the social strata and everything. But anyway, they unveiled the fact that bringing this corporation to town. And I mean, it really is promising. And, they've renamed Tulsa. What is our nickname?
Well, for ages, we were the oil capital.
The oil capital, right. Yeah. And now it's Space City.
Oh, there we go.
They want to rename Tulsa as Space City.
Did they talk about how they will get the satellites into space? Did they talk about
No, that was more, it's one of those civic things where it's all about jobs and
right.
And
because
commerce of the city.
Bridenstine has an impeccable resume for this, being the former head of NASA. The resource, the contact, and then he also was the first head of U.S. Space Force.
Right.
So, but if nothing other than just creating this container for, space communications, if that happens here, that's a lot of jobs, and it's high-tech jobs.
Yeah, it's definitely high-tech jobs, and they're going to be making these satellites to be launched. And what they're also looking at, the reason they want to call it Space City is because of our location, and they're wanting to bring in other companies.
Yeah.
So that you have, we will become the new Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The Silicon Valley of space.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I want to ask something. You remember Bridenstine talked about this big airstrip, World War II airstrip out in Burns Flat?
Yeah.
That he said they're going to have these planes that take off from it on a runway, but go high enough into basically orbit And I'm trying to remember if Jim said that it would be viable for releasing satellites, like slingshotting them up there. Because then you don't need Elon's rockets or, the Amazon, or, any of those. You don't need to do it down on the coast. You can literally be sending stuff up to space here in Oklahoma.
Yeah. The other thing was interesting to find out is, see, like orbit and orbit, the different levels of space.
Yeah, that's...
And he's saying that they're working now on doing satellites. See, every now and then you hear about debris.
Space junk
falling in.
Brideside's big on that.
Right. And so, but there's a layer up there where you reach equilibrium, essentially.
Geosynchronous orb.
And it just stays there, and you don't have to worry about them coming into Earth or going the other way. It's a certain area, and they will forever maintain that orbit wherever they are. So there's so much. Oh man, we got to get him back in here. I want to get him back in here.
Definitely.
Talk about that and some of the things about the moon. The material. Well, listen, today was a fast one.
I've got to handicap these statewide races with you.
Okay, handicap them.
So, the big names for governor. Let's just start with that. You've got, of course, Drummond, Mazie. You got McCall. You got Keating.
Humphrey.
He's running for governor.
Oh, is it lieutenant? Is he governor or lieutenant? I think I thought it was governor.
Well, if he is,
I'm not sure. One of the two.
He isn't a factor.
Well, either one, I don't think.
But you got really four names.
Right.
And how do you handicap? Who do you think are the two that make it in the runoff?
Well, right now, I'm thinking Mazie and
Drummond.
Yeah, probably. I would prefer to be Mazie and McCall, but it's probably going to be Mazie and Drummond.
Yeah.
Mazie was 2 points behind him. The last poll I saw had McCall way down at it was fourth. It was 26-24, and then McCall
Chip and then McCall.
Yeah, and McCall was at 16% or something like that, which I thought, this is crazy. I don't know what in the heck he did, like slap somebody's mama or something to get everybody against him. But anyway, I don't know, but I think it stops there. I think basically it's really a 3-man race. I think. If you want to throw Chip in there, then make it a 4-person race, because you do have a woman as well.
I will tell you right now, I think that Drummond is probably the underdog in the runoff. It's going to runoff, right? Mm-hmm. But you look at where movement happens when somebody votes for, say, a Chip Keating, he doesn't make it. Now, who do they go to?
Right. Well, yeah, see, that's the problem. See, I honestly believe that Mike Mazie would win it going away if it weren't for Chip Keating and some of those other, the so-called conservative vote.
Right. I know this is just bonus material now, but assuming we got Mazie and Drummond, because I kind of am with you on that. I think it's those two right now.
Right.
Barring the last.
Well, I think Mazie wins it if it's just.
And he makes then in a runoff, Mazie's got the advantage.
I think so.
Just like Kevin Stitt beat Mick Cornett, even though Cornett was number one. Tim Harris won the primary, but Kevin Hearn squeaked in and then won.
Right.
Because of the way movement goes. I think people have an opinion about Gittner. What they like him or they don't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you change that at this point. So that's that race. You also had at the Republican Men's Club, which, by the way, Eddie's one of the officers of and largely does a lot of the booking. You had T.W. Shannon come to town. Yep. Tell me about that, because you and him been friends a while.
Yeah, and it's so funny, I was going to say, or you think you know your friends, okay? Mm-hmm. And I've known TW for quite a while, from back when he was still the speaker of the Oklahoma House. But he blew me away. I was really surprised. I mean, the guy really is a smart and very eloquent speaker. I mean, he spoke at the Tulsa Republican Men's Club this week, and I was blown away. I was truly truly blown away and impressed. And so, yeah.
Okay, so David Ostro's also running. He worked in Stitt's cabinet, been involved in a few things, but he's a pilot. Pilots. And we joke about fighter pilots. Some other better politicians, right? But Cindy Byrd, state auditor, was a shoo-in running. Out. And when she found out that Trump had endorsed GW, she's forget it. She just said, I'm going to run for state treasurer.
Oh, I just forgot. We got to go back to the governor.
Yeah.
Jackson LaMayor. Yeah. Have you seen any of his ads? Mm-mm. Oh, they're everywhere. They're all over the place. But he is basically claiming the Trump endorsement. And if nothing else, whether Donald officially, I don't know, I have to accept it. I assume he's telling the truth as a pastor. But what I know is he's got Don Jr. Coming out.
He's running for Congress, right? First district.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, he's running for Congress.
And, that does help. He's, he is a guest to the White House.
I think that's going to be another runoff.
Pastoral. Oh, yeah.
Because you got 6 people in there. I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy.
Our friend, Mark Tedford is running. And then, of course, another fighter pilot. We got Dan Rooney.
Yeah, Dan Rooney.
Yeah, fighter pilots, you got to have them.
Dan's commercials, the one he has where it's like patting in front of the big flag and he's got his flight jacket on and all of this,
Yeah.
To me, that probably worked well in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
But today it just is it was a little off-putting.
It's a little bit self-aggrandizement. I will say, you start an organization that's meant to help veterans get back into civilian life. Yes, you raise millions and millions of dollars, but when people give money, it's not so that the Dan Rooneys can keep 10 to 20 million in their own pocket, because he's become very wealthy being a professional fundraiser. You think you have a problem with TV preachers getting rich? How is this any different?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a hit. And I will, because he's paying himself, I think it's close to $500,000 a year as director of Folds of Honor. I say he's the founder of it, he's got yes men on the board, but I have a problem with that, because I don't think that's why the old ladies cut a check each month.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's, it's become such a nasty business. And I honestly, just like going back again to Jackson LaMayor, why? Okay, here's the deal. I like him as a guy. I really do. I have nothing against him.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, very nice. I like him. He's very smart, good guy. And anyway, but callings, if you were called to be a pastor, if you're called to be a priest, why do you want to be the king? I'm just going to put it in Old Testament terms, okay? Remember, in the Old Testament, you had kings and you had prophets and priests, right? So you had Samuel to Saul and David, okay?
I think you're being selective, because you're not saying that about Donald Trump.
Donald's not a preacher, a pastor.
Businessman, a TV star. He's done a lot of things.
Yeah. But no. Okay. But what I'm saying, it's totally different. If you go back historically, Israel-wise anyway, you were called to be a priest, or you were in the king line.
Oh, so you're treating ministry calling as a little bit different.
Yeah. It's not just I was a banker once, or I was a real estate mogul, or I was a this or that. If you're called to be a preacher and a minister, then I don't see you being called to be a king.
I look at it different. I mean,
this is one of those rare times we disagree.
Paul, well, he was doing all his missionary work. He's also running a tent business at times.
I didn't say anything about running a business. Yeah,
I know.
I don't care if you pastor that makes a living to support yourself doing a business here or there. But when I'm talking about leading a nation, it's a different. If you look biblically, you had a clear separation, and the problem is kings, presidents, leaders of nations. Let's just say they need a prophet. They need look at Billy Graham. Mm-hmm. I mean, Billy Graham literally could have run for president, right? But he chose, rather than to be the advisor or to be the minister to the president. That to me is a much...
Well, I think God put him there, definitely, let's say, and he was content and trying to be obedient in that.
Right.
I just think, the term elders, you and I read it in the Bible, it doesn't refer to a spiritual office so much as an elder person who is put then in leadership, but chosen as one of the trusted, most experienced people. You have city elders, you have elders in a church community and that. And sometimes it's more that, you've got some experience. You're not a novice. You're not a spring chicken or a child. When we choose self-government, we're going to draw from all areas. And I don't think we exclude people who have also been involved in different clergy positions. I just won't go there.
Okay. Well, we disagree. Yeah. I just believe that there are callings, and if you're called, and you say you're called to preach, to be a minister, a pastor, teacher, evangelist, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, I take that, but blah, 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 et cetera. Then I think you need to devote yourself to that. Well, that's how I see it. And
you know what? You got to provide for your family too. And many people, and
you don't think the pastor's providing? Do you think he's having a problem providing for his family?
They may need to also provide their own sustenance, just as Paul did. And
no. Okay, but what I'm saying, do you think Jackson or any of the pastors in this town are having a hard time providing sustenance for their family? That's not even an issue.
It doesn't. You're speaking from a theological, philosophical position. I'm not even sure I believe in the Constantine model of priesthood for church leadership. What I see
it's not a Constantine model. It's a biblical model.
What happened with having full-time clergy set aside. I know that's somewhat Catholic. We're not predominantly Catholic, but whether you're making your full living from your service to the congregation or not, I don't think that's the distinguisher between who's a minister and who isn't. I believe in the priesthood of all believers and that we all are called by God, regardless of what task he puts us in. Right. I don't separate laity clergy like Constantine did.
Okay, so apostles were just ordinary guys like everybody else.
No, they are called to be an apostle.
Well, wait a minute.
But
so you're saying an apostolic ministry is different from a pastoral or evangelist? That doesn't
mean they aren't also a good husband, a father, and business leader, owning.
How many businesses did the 12 have? Or did Paul have, other than tent making?
Peter was fishing. Even after Jesus rose from the dead, he's out fishing.
That was until the resurrection. Until the assumption.
Right. But there's almost nothing written on there. So why should we make a doctrine out of silence?
Out of silence. So you think Peter was still a fisherman while he was traveling all over preaching the gospel?
Where you need to go to was James and the Council of Jerusalem saying, we're setting up deacons here so we can devote ourselves to prayer and the ministry. Okay, that's the closest thing you have to that, apostolic council, which was basically James.
Well, if from what you're saying, honestly, what I would say then every pastor should have to go to work.
I'm not saying they should or shouldn't.
That's what it sounds like.
No, there are governments, plural. What he describes to the people in Corinth is, everybody's getting together and building each other up. And he doesn't say the laity and the clergy.
If you're called to be a pastor, right?
That's what
you're called. Right. You're called to be the leader of a particular flock.
A type of ministry.
Right. But what is that ministry?
Yeah.
To lead a flock of people.
Right.
But now you're wanting to take the role of the king or the leader of the nation, if you will, versus that flock that you have been given by God to oversee.
Well, obviously you think Huckabee was totally out of bounds then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but see, I disagree.
But wait a minute. And I mean, if Huckabee was a pastor or a preacher, but I don't know where.
He was.
Okay. He was a pastor.
Eventually, his brethren said, we want you to be head of the whole Southern Baptist.
Well, that's a whole different. So what was he? So he was a pastor.
Yeah, one time.
Oh, okay.
Of a local congregation.
Okay, well, I didn't. Yeah, I never knew
but
that.
there are people who are also teachers too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're,
it's a different calling. It's a different.
It is, but you're assigning this picture of employment from the congregation, and I'm saying that
I just go back. Yeah, I just go back to Israel. In the model of that model.
I'm very careful about that.
Well,
because that's based on, are you lineage of Aaron, for instance? Are you Levitical? You can't be in the priesthood unless you're
again, see, but that's what it turned into. I'm just saying, as far as the calling.
Yeah.
Make your calling and election sure. Okay.
Right.
Are you a pastor or are you going to be a politician? See, that's where I have it.
It's not a mutually exclusive deal.
To me, it is. I think the thing is that you don't have to be the president, the governor, the this, the that, necessarily to have influence.
If you
there are
look
people that can have influence into the pastor.
Right. But if you look at the qualifications that Paul told Timothy for selecting leaders,
right?
Okay, he mentions the pastor or bishop, which is kind of the head of a local group. Okay, and deacons and stuff. He doesn't mention their occupational source or any of that. It's not there.
It's not there officially in the writing, but I guarantee you that their roles, if they truly embraced their role, they were not working in the fishery or this, because you have enough busy seeking God and for wisdom and how to guide your people that you have the contact with. And so, I mean, this is one of these times where it's good. This is for you guys at home to decide.
Yeah, but if you're in a remote area, a small congregation of less than 30, and you happen to be a sheep herder, you have your own agricultural livestock kind of a deal in that, but you're also ministering, the gospel to a remote congregation. You just can't put a one size fits all on it. Even the Mormons, they won't even allow their bishops to be paid. Mitt Romney still had to run his, investment company while he was a bishop. I know a local family here. He's been a Mormon bishop, but he still ran his real estate company.
But see, it's a reverse situation. You're a business person or this person or that person who also happens to be a bishop.
And they do not follow the Constantine model of there's clergy and laity and never the twain shall mix. I just don't look at it that way.
Okay, then
I think I see the callings of God are diverse on different people, and no two people called to the same, quote, office are going to manifest the same kind of thing.
That may be true, but I still don't believe that if you're called to full-time ministry, if you're called to ministry in the pastoral role in particular, be it a bishop, a local pastor, that you're also called to be a politician, to run the government.
Yeah, you and I both have problems with preachers trying to influence by coercion through being in politics. And
honestly, that has nothing, that never entered my mind. That has nothing to do with this situation. I just believe that if you're called to be the head of a church, then be the head of the church and continue to help that church grow and not decide to be, a congressman, a senator, because you will have no say in your church. You're basically
leading council or even.
Yeah. Just basically whatever government. See, I see those as separate entities. You got those that are called to civically run things, and then you got the spiritual leaders.
And you can't be contributing to both.
No, you can be contributing, but you should not be. That's not your full-time calling. You have a full-time. There is a full-time calling, Dave.
That's the problem. You use that word full-time.
Yeah.
That is an occupational distinction that's not in the Bible.
It doesn't matter, but it's reality. You cannot focus on civic matters, all the things that you have to deal with, and be seeking God all day and all week to minister to people. You just can't do it. No. You need to decide. Well, it's like say I'm going to be a surgeon, but I also want to be a pilot.
Okay,
or a commercial pilot, or I want to be a construction.
Okay, a completely different dynamic of the same principle you just said exists in marriage. Paul gave his instructions. He thinks it's better if the minister's not married, but he did not prohibit it. The Catholic Church of their priests for 1,500 years said they could be married. In the last 500-600 years said, no, you can't.
Apples and oranges.
Okay. But the same argument you just made exists in the distraction between providing for your family, caring for, and then caring for the flock. And Paul went into great detail about that. That's the same argument you just made.
No, you take care of your family after work or after your ministry. Those two do not need to interfere with one another.
Paul said they will.
Well, if you're going to be called full-time. Yeah, Paul made a distinction, but he said he wishes. But if you're not able to, remember.
He didn't make a rule.
Right. He said if it's preferable because you'll do a better job. Right. Okay. So
that's where I will agree with you on this. I see things that are preferable. I just don't go to the point of saying it just shouldn't happen.
Well, no, you can't say it. Well, I won't say it. I can say it shouldn't happen, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go to that far. But I just think if you're truly called to be a minister of the word, then that is a true calling. If not, then don't do it.
See, I think every calling is a true calling. God calls each of us.
Okay. All right.
It's just each one's unique.
True.
Yeah.
There you go. You're actually making my case.
Good.
If you're called to be a pastor, then be a pastor.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Right. But I'm not pigeonholing them as all fitting in certain things, including, economics, that they are, quote, full-time or anything.
Okay. I'm just saying that you shouldn't decide all of a sudden, well, I'm going to go over here and be a general, or I'm going to be a president or a congressman or this and that. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, that's my thing.
You know what?
Like
Trump said
personal.
it better than that. He said, everybody needs to stay in their lane. He says the thing that you're good at.
Stay in your lane, bro.
No, Trump has made that point about they're good at this, and if they just stay in this, then
Wise
everybody
words.
benefits.
Exactly. No, I agree. Wise words. So
we agree.
We agreed to agree.
Yeah. So we only
wrap it up with
only got to a couple of races.
Okay. I'm sorry. He's still got some races. You want to go all the way down?
We'll take the rest next. More
okay.
next.
Yeah, and we're getting closer anyway, so things may. One thing, I made a mistake. There's one lady who is running for the House that I forgot to call her back or something, and I'm thinking of still trying to invite her in before the thing. Good. So if I can get her name and info, it'd be good to get her in, because I feel badly that I was supposed to schedule. She wanted me to schedule her for the men's club, but it didn't work out. So I feel we do need to give her at least a voice. I do want to always give everybody, whether I think they have a shot or not, as Dave and I disagree on that. Anyway, I at least want to give them a shot. Okay. Yeah, I got some good numbers in women's softball. Why don't we finish off with that real quick? Okay. Oklahoma State is about to beat Stanford. They're last gasp. Yeah, that's a surprise this year. They're the Cinderella. Yeah, and really they have equal records, basically. 38, 39. Now, are we in the World Series? Regional. Yeah? Oh, we're still in the regional. So yeah, this is that first bunch of 64. Then, but we're done with the conference anyway. Those who win that, then you go down to 16 in the super regional, I guess, or something like. You get down to 8 teams for the World Series. So yesterday, Oklahoma ruled. Yeah. Binghamton, which has a losing record and still made it to the regionals. Well, it's interesting because OU got eliminated from their own conference tournament, but because they were so high in the rankings, anyway, they had an automatic bye. So, yeah, the conference really isn't a big factor. No. I actually think, and they lost to Georgia, which then turned around and lost their next game. I think the Alabama. Sometimes there's a good loss. Sometimes it lights that fire. Well, also, it gave them rest. Yeah. They got extra rest. Very good point. That, to me, is one of the most, because last year, I don't know if you remember, with Tech in particular, that pitcher they had. Jari Kennedy. They just burned her out. That's where I was going to go. She just got burned out. They've got one great pitcher, and last year it seemed like their only losses are when they had to give her a rest. Right. And then finally they didn't give her a rest, and her hip. I think that's why Texas beat them there in the finals. Oh, yeah, because when she pitched, she beat Texas. But yeah, it's one of those deals. It's a tough deal. So anyway, and the College World Series then will start probably right after Memorial Day. Memorial Day comes early this year, the 25th. So there's almost a whole week of May after that, and which is at Oklahoma City, which is also the venue for next year's, or not next year, 2 years from now, the World Olympics. Softball will be in Oklahoma. By the way, awesome. Condolences on the Wild. Minnesota Wild were eliminated. They did beat the Stars, though. So everybody, the South Stars. Yes, the South Stars. Because the South Stars used to be the North Stars, and they ran for the money. Yeah, it's weird. The two teams, same club, basically played each other. Well, yeah, they still claim to be the Minnesota team, until one wanted to be the Dallas team. So yeah, we got that going on. And your Texas Tech still great in that. By the way, sometime we need to follow up on these rules. Somehow Trump was able, through executive order, to limit free agency, or the transfer portal. Yeah, the transfer portal. Yeah. And how that's going to affect things is really interesting. Well, I think what he did was that he brought all of the heads, all these coaches in. He brought them all. That was an amazing deal. Saban was there, I know, and Cody Campbell was there. Cody Campbell, of course, was there, and basically somebody from each of the conferences, and then some extras. Yeah, DeSantis was there. DeSantis was there. That's interesting. Yeah. And so they sat down and I think tried to plan it out, because it's out of hand. To me, it's just like, boy, we're going to go. But online gambling is just out of control. Yep. They need to put some kind of barriers on it, guardrails as you call them, and that had to happen with college sports.
Yep.
Or it was they were going to end up paying them more than the rookie contracts in the
they were.
NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it was headed.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel's making way more money than Brock Purdy. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. We'll call it a wrap. All right.
All right. Hey, everybody. Have a great week. Pray for us and the upcoming elections, local, state, and national. Okay. We'll talk to you then next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't dry.
There you go.